Let's start with Dante Cephas. Cephas re-enters the transfer portal just 1 year later. Was at Kent State, transferred to Penn State, and then he's now put his name back into the portal and is going to be leaving Penn State. Why did it not work out for Dante Cephas? Because we were assured that yes, it would take some time, but he had wide receiver one potential, or at least be able him and Keandre Lambert Smith to be somewhat of a dynamic duo. I don't think we were misled to believe anything, but there was definitely a little too much hype here for Cephas. And it's not obvious, but let's look back at how this all came together and how it all fell apart. The first reason that Dante Cephas didn't exactly work out at Penn State was he enrolled late. And what I mean by that is he didn't come in the winter session, the spring session, but enrolling in January and working with the team through winter workouts and then spring ball. Dante Cephas wasn't there for any of that. Now, I'm not here to comment on his academic situation at Kent State and what played a role in him enrolling after May and not in January of 2023, just a year ago, because that's when he should have been at Penn State. I understand from my understanding, he had to finish up school and make sure his credits were all taken care of at Kent State before he made his way over to Penn State. But enrolling late, enrolling and getting to Penn State late May, early June to work with now at a Big Ten school. So you're going from the Group 5 to what is now the Power 4. You're going from that level of competition to a much better one. You're going from a less complex playbook at Kent State to a significantly more complex playbook. Whatever you have to say about Mike Yurcich, that's fine. But we know that Mike Yurcich's offense is going to be a lot more dynamic and difficult to grasp than whatever Kent State is going to run in the MAC conference. Okay, that can be said. But I think the biggest part of all of that was that he was late getting adjusted with not only the playbook, but building chemistry with Drew Aller. So you have all of these firsts. You're playing in a Power Four conference for the first time, so a significant increase in competition. You're dealing with this playbook for the first time. And now you have a different quarterback, wide receiver dynamic for the first time. And that takes those 6 months. So from January, February, March, April, May, that's when you start to turn the corner building that chemistry with a first time starting quarterback. It's not all Dante Cephas' fault. Don't get Drew Aller is responsible for the passing game shortcomings as well. But this could have been bridged, this gap could have been bridged a lot better had Dante Cephas enrolled. And we understand that the circumstances weren't, it's not like Dante Cephas said, I'm not enrolling until after May, so you can forget about it. That's not it at all. But I'm saying this is one of the reasons, this is the main reason. So that timeline is already pushed back because that first breakout game shouldn't have come against Maryland. That was too far into the season. I know it never materialized, but the fact that Dante Cephas' breakout game was on the road at Maryland later into the season, just it shouldn't have been it. It should have been UMass, frankly. Should have been earlier than that. It should have been Delaware. But that's week 2. But still, Cephas should have been firmly inside of the starting lineup, not trying to break through for snaps. And we're finding out why that was the case. So enrolling late is the first one, but this translates into the second reason. And so not being able to firmly grasp the playbook, that's the second reason. So I've already mentioned that that's part of it, getting to campus late and being with the program when you did instead of January, or instead of January, you come over in June, not having the playbook altogether. And you're not going to be able to play on the field if you can't run the plays. I've heard this about college athletes, and this is the same thing in the NFL. If it is not 100%, you don't run it. Not 95, not 90, not 75, any of that. Anything lower than 100%, college teams, pro teams are not going to run it. As good as it might seem on paper, if you cannot execute, it is a recipe for disaster. So Dante Cephas not understanding the playbook fully, not running the right motions, not running the right routes, and having that miscommunication with Drew Aller and whatever play was called, That is a huge reason why he was left off of the field. So when you don't know where to be on plays, we saw that Penn State had to use timeouts. Drew Aller would look at Dante Cephas and essentially, what route are you running? Because we're not on the same page here. Did that happen all of the time? No, but it happened enough to where Penn State said, we can't even put you on the football field because of this. So not knowing where to be on plays, not knowing where to line up, running the wrong routes, and that was in Yursic's offense. We're assuming here that Andy Kotelnicki's multiple system offense is going to be a lot more complicated than Yursic's. And if you couldn't pick up Yursic's offense, are you going to be able to pick up Andy Kotelnicki's offense? So that's part of it too. Understanding the playbook, that is a huge part of it. Never really translating from the MAC level of competition to Big Ten competition. And this is something Mitchell Tinsley adjusted fine. Western Kentucky had a prolific offense. So, but there's still that competition gap that Dante Cephas was never able to bridge. Had a sophomore breakout year in 2021, regressed a little bit in 2022, and I chalk that up more so to injury, unfortunate circumstances, changing quarterback graduates, and everything goes off to the pros. But it felt like there wasn't anything to build off of. There was something, but it was a while ago. He was an all MAC conference player in 2021. 2022, different set of circumstances, but then in 2023, it's not like it kept going up the ladder. It went backwards for Cephas, and then he comes to Penn State. So never adjusting really to that MAC competition. He admitted it that players are faster, they're stronger, quicker, right? Everything of that. And it goes back to my original point. If he's there in January, I know that wasn't exactly anybody's choice to not have them there in January. But for Cephas, that value of being there with the group for winter workouts and spring ball was missed. That's really what we're always going to go back to. And then this is one that started to, okay, it's been reported, it's been questioned, it's been rumored that there were serious work ethic issues, not only among Dante Cephas, but other wide receivers in the room. That's what we've been hearing. And that it's been related to Cephas. So if there are work ethic issues, that's that could mean a bunch of different things. Are you staying for the extra reps? Are you working as hard as you can? Are you studying film? Are you looking at the playbook? So we go back to not understanding the playbook for Dante Cephas as one of these issues. Is that where the disconnect was? That he wasn't working hard enough in film study? Was it not learning the plays fast enough? Not doing what it takes to catch up because he's already behind because of this timeline? It's that's let that everybody else can come to that conclusion. Okay. If the shoe fits in this case, it makes a little sense, but you can only these are all rumors, but it's kind of if there's smoke, there's fire in this case. And now we're seeing possible attitude issues. I can't comment. I don't know Dante Cephas personally. I just know that it didn't work out at Penn State and that he's in the transfer portal. But based on the posts that he's been liking on social media recently, kind of displays that he's not truly a good, positive veteran presence in the room. What Penn State lacked the most, and this is what they're really going to benefit from having Julian Fleming. Penn State needed a real veteran presence, a better one than what they had. Leadership by example. And what we've seen with the work ethic rumors, the actions on social media, that Dante Cephas wasn't that. And you have a lot of young talent in that wide receiver room. And that's your example? That's been the example. So if this is what we're seeing out in the public, what was behind closed doors? What was actually going on the practice field that we don't see and we'll never know about? It didn't work out. And I don't think when looking back that Penn State Cephas was not Penn State's first choice. I feel like they had to settle. Was there interest? Was there intrigue? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, Penn State came away with Malik McClain and Dante Cephas, and I don't think that was their first choice. I don't think they wanted to go with those two. I think that they got the best of what was available, but it certainly wasn't what they wanted after last year's cycle.